Calatheas originate from the tropical regions of South America. Specifically, they are native to the rainforest of Brazil. And before deciding to bring this plant home, it is important to understand the growing conditions that are necessary for them to thrive. And in today's video, I'll be discussing how to successfully grow Calathea plants indoors. But before that, let me remind you that they come in different varieties and shades, and they are a bit tricky plants or fuzzy. So if you are a beginner, it is best to avoid them as they require some special care or can be a bit challenging or tricky to handle. However, once you figure out their specific requirements, they become easier to manage, and I'm here to help you with that. Welcome to my channel. So when you get this plant, keep in mind that placement of this plant really matters a lot as it thrives in indirect bright to medium light, which means you can think of placing it in a room with a north or east facing window, or probably 6 feet away from a south or west facing window. So you should also avoid direct sun as these plants have really delicate foliage and direct sunlight might cause them more harm than good. And avoid too much sun as it can scorch or fade their leaves. And this plant is also called prayer plant because of the captivating movement of its leaves. If you observe it closely, you will notice that during the day, the leaves of this plant extend horizontally to maximize the absorption of light, and as the evening approaches, the leaves fold upwards, resembling the posture of prayer, like we fold our hands in a prayer position. So, this rhythmic opening and closing of the leaves not only makes it an interesting sight, but it also helps the plant to protect itself from excessive light and water loss during the night. And now the tip number 2 is that to keep your Calatheas thriving, it is important for us to keep the soil consistently moist but not soggy. So which means that we should always check the soil moisture before watering them. And the best way to do that is by inserting a stick or your finger. Just put it down in the soil, and if the top 2 inches of the soil feels dry to touch, then it means your plant is thirsty. Water it right away, and while you water your Calathea, you make sure to use water at room temperature to avoid shocking your plant. And remember, Calatheas are sensitive to fluoride and chlorine found in the tap water, so it's best if you use distilled or filtered water. And if you must use tap water, in that case, I would say let it sit overnight to allow any chemicals to evaporate before using it on your plants the next morning. And once you water your Calathea, check out the saucer plate. If the water has been collected in it, just throw it away. Otherwise, this also causes root rot. If your plant has been sitting in the same water for a long time, it can create problems to your plant. And remember that our Calatheas are originally from tropical regions, which means they do well in higher humidity. And to keep them healthy, it's best for us to maintain humidity levels around our Calatheas up to 50%. So if you see humidity going below 40%, then you would see the brown tips on your plant, or they will turn crispy. You will see the brown edges, the foliage won't look that bright or good. It means your plant is lacking humidity. And the moment you look the brown edges like this, just cut them off. I'm trying to remove the brown parts on my plant. And then try to focus on the ways to increase the humidity around your Calathea plant. Like for an example, you can either club a few plants together, group them together so that they would increase humidity around them. You can use a humidifier, which is always great for increasing the humidity for your plants, or you can place your Calathea on a pebble tray. So these are the few simple tricks with which you can increase the humidity for your plant. For growing healthy calatheas, just keep in mind to maintain warm and stable temperature. As I said, that they come from rainforest, so keeping the temperature, your indoor temperature, somewhere around 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit is good for them to thrive. And you just avoid sudden temperature drops. Protect your calatheas from draft and cold air, especially during the winter, and make sure to keep it away from excessive heat during summertime. Also, keep in mind that they need a good, well draining, and organically rich potting soil, which should be able to have the plenty of aeration for developing a strong root system. And for that, you can either get a mix from the garden center, or you can make your own mix at home by adding 40% cocoa coir, 30% compost, 20% perlite or vermiculite, or you can mix both, and then 10% horticulture charcoal. So by mixing all this, you will get the right mix for your calathea plant. The last care tip is fertilizer. Our calatheas need mild fertilizer to grow and thrive. You can feed your plant with any balanced liquid fertilizer that you have at home, or you can go for a seaweed fertilizer. They both help your plant grow, especially during spring and summer, which is their growing season. And as they go slow, they slow down their growth, or they go dormant during winter. So that time you don't have to fertilize them at all. So those were my 5 simple care tips for growing healthy calatheas indoors. And at last, remember that calatheas can be a bit finicky, but with proper care, they can thrive and reward you with their stunning foliage. Pay attention to your plant's specific needs, as different calathea varieties may have slightly different care requirements, and I hope they will thrive in your home. And thank you so much for watching. And if you really find this video helpful, give it a like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, stay happy and happy planting.